Good evening. I'm John Yang. Tonight, Russia and Ukraine are blaming each other for breaking the one-day Easter ceasefire that Russian President Vladimir Putin had declared. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia never ceased firing and attacks continued after Putin's announcement. Russia said it was Ukraine that broke the truce, shooting at Russian positions and launching drone attacks, killing civilians. Today, the State Department said the United States is committed to achieving a full and comprehensive ceasefire. William Taylor is a distinguished fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. He was U.S. ambassador to Ukraine under George W. Bush and the temporary head of mission there in the first administration of President Trump, later testifying in his impeachment. So this ceasefire that one side declares and ends up devolves into this finger pointing. What do you make of this?
They're probably not serious, John. Putin was not serious. He's declared ceasefires before and violated them. Zelensky said 30-hour ceasefire? No, 30-day ceasefire. Zelensky said if we want a serious ceasefire, do the ceasefire that President Trump and President Zelensky agreed on, a comprehensive 30-day ceasefire, air, land, and sea. And if you're serious, Mr. Putin, go for that kind of a ceasefire.
This past week, U.S. officials, the Secretary of State, the president sounded like their patience may be running out. Here's what President Trump said on Friday.
If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass. But hopefully we won't have to do that.
Is this part of the bargaining, or are they serious about walking away?
Well, John, if the president is irritated at one of the two who's not serious, he must be irritated at Putin, which would be unusual, but he must be irritated at Putin because Putin's the one who said no to him, to President Trump, and is the one who said, no, I'm not going to abide by what I agreed to unless you remove sanctions. In other words, he has not been bargaining in good faith, and President Putin is dragging this out, by all accounts. So if there's anyone to be irritated with, it is Putin. And if that's the case, then President Trump has some leverage to put on Putin to bring him back to the table.
Dragging this out to what end, Putin?
Putin wants to drag this out so that he gradually takes more. His overall goal, John, as you've reported, is to control Ukraine. That's what he started out doing 2008, 2014, 2022. It's to control Ukraine that he thinks is not really a nation. It's really just part of Russia, so he wants to eliminate Ukraine. That's his goal, and he thinks he can wait us out. He thinks he can wait the Europeans out. He thinks the Ukrainians might break. They're not breaking. We shouldn't break either.
There's some analysts who say that walking away would be a benefit for Putin, but you disagree.
Walking away would be an admission that one of the top priorities of the U.S. government, the new U.S. government, is impossible to do. Now, Putin probably needs this ceasefire. His economy is in bad shape. The Ukrainians are eager for the ceasefire as well. I mean, they've been fighting for over 3 years, 3 years and 2 months. They've been holding off the Russian army and have fought them to a standstill, a virtual standstill. They're tired. The Ukrainians are tired. They want this ceasefire, but they don't want to be under Russian control. So they're going to continue to fight until they can get that ceasefire and a settlement that is good for them.
When Secretary Rubio and President Trump talking about walking away or sort of throwing up their hands, is it just in the talks, or do you think they'll also pull the support for the Ukrainians?
That's the right question to ask. And we've seen what happens when they pull the support, the weapons, the intelligence. It's bad for the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians will continue to fight, as I just said. They will continue to fight in any case. But if the Americans pull off from the actual negotiations, but continue to support them with weapons and intelligence and diplomatic, then the Ukrainians can continue to make it.
Given your knowledge, your expertise, your background, your experience, how do you think this is going to play out?
I think the Ukrainians will continue to resist. They will continue to resist the Russians. I think Putin will continue to try to drag out this administration and try to drag out this fight. And I think that they will both get tired. And I think Ukraine will move on once that happens to joining the EU and reconstructing what it still controls. And eventually, I think, joining NATO. That's a hard one. That's going to be out there. But I think that's where Ukraine will be. And Russia will continue to threaten them.
And what role will the United States be playing in this?
I hope the United States will be supporting the Ukrainians. That's what will be in our interest. That's what the United States will do in our own interest so that Russia does not control Ukraine and threaten Europe where our soldiers are. We've got soldiers there, and that will be a threat to them.
Former Ambassador William Taylor, thank you very much.
John, thank you.